My name is Abdulla Lutfi, but you can just call me by my art name, which is AL, because that is my art name. I am an Emirati. I'm also on the autism spectrum. I'm being on the autism spectrum has never held me back from doing things. I am not ashamed of having autism. It allows me to see things better.
Hey everyone, and welcome to the Academy Podcast with the #1 international best-selling author and multi-award winning success and life coach, Kamil Shah. I want to thank each and every one of you for taking this opportunity to grow together with me, Kamil Shah, and my guests on this program. Each episode of the Academy Podcast is filled with insights and wisdom from my guests, which I believe can have a profound impact on the way we live our lives. Without further ado, let's dive in. Hello and welcome again to the Academy Podcast with me, Kamil Shah. I hope you're doing well, staying safe and healthy as you're tuning in to this super special episode. Before we dive in, I just want to say that I love hearing your comments and feedback about the show, and I'm ever so humbled by your support. As always, do tag the show and let me know what you like about it. As you may already know, this month, April, is Autism Awareness Month, and I'm really grateful to our guest today for being able to join us in the session. Joining me today is Abdulla Lutfi. As an artist on the autistic spectrum, Abdulla sees and interprets the world in a unique and non-conventional way. As a person of determination, his art is particularly important in its contribution to society, as it allows him to communicate a view of the world that is frequently not represented. Abdulla, or known by his artistic name AL, is most proud of his amazing memory, attention to detail, and the spontaneity he brings to his work. He regards art as his connection to the world around him. To Abdulla, creating art is like allowing his viewers to peek into his soul. Abdulla's passion for art stems from his amazing attention to detail, his tendency to see the world and its complexities in a black and white sense, and his sharp sense of humor. Welcome, Abdulla.
Well, thank you.
Abdulla, I'm absolutely grateful for you to be able to join us today. And as I mentioned earlier, there's a bit of a backstory of how we met. Now, how I came about to know about your work is that my family and I were in Hatta in Dubai for a staycation, and we were at the Hatta Wild Cafe, if I recall correctly, and we were buying a cappuccino. I love coffee and cappuccinos. My son noticed something quite unique about the cup. So we looked at it further, and it looked as if someone had scribbled or drawn on it. You look at it further and it's completely amazing. It's an amazing piece of art. And as we looked at it, it revealed itself a whole new kind of story of Hatta, the activities that you can do, the hiking, the mountain biking, and it's amazing. And we saw your initials, AL. And I saw your Instagram tag on the cup. I went to Instagram and lo and behold, I saw all this amazing artwork that you've done, you've created, that you've posted on Instagram. And I just connected with you. I just sent you a message. And what's even more unique is that as I read further, I've got to know that you're on the autistic spectrum as well. And that's even more unique. And I felt that I just needed to share your story with people out there because it just needs to be heard. So Abdullah, without further ado, if you can share with us your story.
My name is Abdulla Lutfi, but you can just call me by my art name, which is AL, because that is my art name. I am an Emirati. I'm also on the autism spectrum.
Amazing. And I love the fact that your work is reaching out to a lot of people out there. So we then came back to Dubai, and I made the effort to contact you, and through Gulshan, who kindly invited us to go to your studio in Bastakia, the historic district in Dubai. And what an amazing find, a gem of a place where we got to see all your artwork. So if you're tuning in and you live in Dubai, I'd encourage you to go to the studio, which is in Tashkil, building number 10 in Fahidi district in Dubai. So go and check it out. Meet Abdullah in person and, of course, purchase his artwork.
Yeah, everything, every artwork of mine here is for sale.
Awesome. So here's a question, Abdullah. What kind of art inspires your work?
Well, when I was younger, I was fascinated by black and white manga comic books, and the anime was so exciting to watch. That surely inspired my art today when I became a black and white artist.
Wow, that's really interesting. You mentioned manga as one of the kind of inspiration for your artwork, and I think that originates from Japan. And I believe I believe a fascination for Japan as well.
Well, you see, because when I open the manga book, like the front cover is mostly cover, but most of the pages are in black and white, like with the bubble words and that. And so when I see some like walking or like that and stuff, that's how inspired me to become a black and white artist, like drawing quotes and that, and doing bubble words in my own artwork, like when some of my characters are caught talking.
Super. Now, staying on manga, what particular characters or storyline that you enjoy?
Well, just anything exactly. I mean, not any enjoy. I just read anything, but mostly comic books, but not just books. Well, I just usually look at it and then I just draw it on my own way without being a copycat of doing it in my own ways.
Wow. Now, I love hearing that. So essentially, you're using it as inspiration, but you're interpreting the style to create your own artwork. Now, going back to the time where we met in your studio, what's really interesting is that I believe the black and white is more recent in your style of art.
Well, so just so you know, when I was very young, I used to use color, but that was not exciting for me because sometimes it goes out of the line and that's very stressful to erase. Like, that's really hard. So I always prefer doing black and white drawings other than color because that's how it makes me famous for me.
I love that. I love that. Just sticking to the two-tone black and white monochrome, I think it's really, really powerful. And as you can see, I'm wearing a t-shirt here with a black and white artwork on it.
You're wearing a PlayStation. I'm more of a video game collector. I'm a video game collector, which I collect the PlayStations, Xboxes, and Nintendos.
Nice. So any particular games that you enjoy playing on the consoles?
I usually like playing that Nintendo game, which is called the Smash Brothers, because that's one of the best game I ever played. And I also modded to make it look like it add more characters.
Oh, wow. Nice. You mentioned Nintendo. That's quite a retro kind of console. I remember I used to have Sega and Nintendos as well back in the day.
I still keep one of my retro game consoles and they're still in mint condition because I keep them safe.
Amazing. Amazing.
Yeah.
Any other hobbies that you enjoy doing aside from gaming and comics?
I usually like collecting anime figures as well, and also mostly pop figures as well. And also I love video games as my hobby, and so is driving a car as my hobby. And also I was playing bowling, but not only that, I also play the pool table as well. So, but in my bowling tournament when I was in the Special Olympics, I only won bronze medal. It's not easy being a first place, but it's better to be any place. It doesn't matter, but at least you get medals for any place. But you know what's the problem? Being last is I don't like. But bronze is it's not about being first place. It's about being any place when you get a medal. But you know what I don't like? Being last place. Last place is not that good to me.
No, that's really great advice there. You're mentioning it's not about being first place. It's about trying your best and getting it done. That's more important.
But to be honest with you, I just don't like doing competitions because I don't usually like doing competitions. I just prefer just doing things just for fun only.
That's great. Now that comes to the next question I want to ask you. What advice would you like to share with people who would like to become artists but are scared to do so?
Well, my advice is to just go for it. You have nothing to lose. Believe in yourself, and the world will believe in you.
Wow, great advice there, Abdullah. And I think it ties into what you mentioned earlier about enjoying and having fun with what you do. And as you've described there about your own fascination with your hobbies. So sometimes we stress out too much that we want things to be perfect before we start. But in actual fact, just enjoy the journey and just have fun.
Yeah.
Abdullah, we're going to go a little bit off script here, and I want to go back to what you mentioned about being in the Special Olympics, and that's something that I didn't know until literally you just mentioned it there. Would you mind just sharing with us a little bit about your experience in the Special Olympics?
It was my first time going to the Special Olympics. I was in the bowling section since I was in 2019. It wasn't held in the Abu Dhabi, and I have some bowling crew with me, which most guys are special needs as well, and like that. They're all special needs, and some of them autistics and like that. Then we did some bowling practice. But sometimes my thumbs get hurt for breaking the joint for bowling so hard.
Wow, I'm just really enjoying this conversation, Abdullah. Thank you so much for sharing all of this with us. Now, I want to come back to the questions again, Abdullah. So the next question is, what are the common challenges you found when it comes to creating an inclusive society? Now, this is in particular where people of determination are not discriminated upon, but actually form an integral part of the society.
I'm being on the autism spectrum has never held me back from doing things. I am not ashamed of having autism. It allows me to see things better.
Thank you, Abdullah. Again, it's the idea of creating an inclusive society to know and understand that we are all one and that there is no discrimination between abilities, between race, color, creed, and that we are all one at the end of the day. And I guess one of the challenges is to create more exposure, to educate more, and simple things go a long way. And Abdullah, I want to thank you so much for doing what you do, because you're doing something phenomenal here. You're actually showing that it is possible. It is possible.
Yes, thank you for having me. It's an honor.
Okay, I want to come to the next question. What and who are you grateful for in your life?
You know who am I grateful for my life? Gulshan for helping me live my life. Gulshan Kavarana, who helps me live my life and helps me to live my life of selling and art.
Wow, this is really great to hear. Thank you, Abdullah, for sharing that. If you don't mind just sharing, how did Gulshan come about into connecting with you and helped you along the way to where you are now?
You know, when I first graduated from my high school in the Greenfield Community School, and then I did not go to the university. I went to the art studio, which is called Mawahib for beautiful people. And then when I went inside, and that's where I first met our teacher named Gulshan Kavarana. And she was the best helper of all time who helps other special needs to live their life. But then Mawahib shut down because because of that lousy pandemic of that COVID. I don't know whose fault is that created to the world. But now I went to that, and now I just went to our first art studio, which is my studio, which is called the next chapter in the Tashkil Al Fahidi Bastakia, which is called the Villa 10. And then Gulshan became our mentor to help us live our life in good selling.
Wow, thank you for sharing that, Abdullah. And thank you, Gulshan, and everyone involved for believing and making it possible for Abdullah. I'd like to take this opportunity actually as well to honor my mother. She was a high school teacher and for a good portion of her career taught special needs children. She's retired now, and in fact, I would say she was one of the very first teachers to advocate for education for special needs children in Malaysia back in the day, which is where I grew up. She had taught in the same school as I went to, and I remember the days when after school I would go and sit in her classroom, and she would be typing away on the Braille typewriter. which I think is something that she had taken upon herself to learn to do. I remember sitting while I waited for her to finish her class. There were students with vision impairment, those on the autism spectrum, and even physically challenged children. There was one particular student that I really got on with, and now I'm recalling this. He was blind from birth, but he had aspirations to become a radio DJ. He would sit with his cassette recorder, mixing songs that he recorded from the radio, and then putting in his commentary in between the songs. And I remember one of the songs was by Richard Marx, and I just thought it was amazing that he had honed in his skills of listening and speaking where he was visually impaired. So I thought that was really fascinating. Now, I guess I reflect on that, and I appreciate the efforts of human beings, of souls, beautiful souls, who educate or advocate for the education of special needs children. And I guess at the same time, educating the parents as well, that, these children have a vital role in society and not something to be ashamed about. And I guess on the flip side, I think that slowly we, as a society, are beginning to change the perception and stigma, if I may say, in cultures around the world, to create a more inclusive society so that special needs children are able to be seen and heard and not hidden. So thank you, Gulshan and the team, and thank you, Mum. Now, there's a couple of other things I want to bring in there about what you mentioned about having gone through the pandemic and actually being able to set up what you've set up. And I think that's a phenomenal thing to do, Abdullah. Essentially, you're an entrepreneur. Having set this whole thing up through the pandemic, and I applaud you for doing that and being courageous and being successful in actually doing that.
Thanks. Thank you so much.
And there was one particular artwork that I was fascinated with when we visited your studio, and I think it was the A to Z of the pandemic.
Yeah.
Essentially a guide of how to stay safe and healthy during the pandemic, and I just connected with that, and thankfully we've purchased it, and it's sitting in my wife's clinic. So thank you for turning something which is, I guess, a negative thing into something super special.
Yeah, it's to just wear masks.
So I guess staying on that, what would your advice be for people out there? Now that the pandemic's kind of shifted now, we're entering a new phase, and what would your advice be?
I wish for advice to people to don't panic and just wear masks.
Okay, I'm really enjoying this conversation, Abdullah. Thank you again. Now, how can people connect with you?
You see, I have a website now, which is www.abdullalutfi.com. They can also follow me on Instagram, which is written Abdulla Lutfi. That's my name, main word for the Instagram, which is spells Abdulla Lutfi, ABDULLALUTFI. So that's my Instagram account. So they can visor me at my studio in the Tashkil House 10, Al Fahidi Historical Neighborhood. We are there from Monday to Thursday. It's 4 days of work, and we usually come here, start work by 9 a.m. and we finish by 2 p.m. So that was our working days.
Okay, great. So we'll include all the description of your website, your Instagram handle, and how to visit you at your studio in the description of this episode. So if you didn't get that, don't worry. Just go and check out the description in this episode. Okay, so coming back to your studio, Abdullah, I've seen that you actually carry out workshops for school kids and also organizations.
Well, I usually just teach the people how to do black and white artwork, like in my style. And then I teach them how to draw buildings. I teach them how to draw the characters, and I teach them to draw anything like that, workshops.
Yes, and that's something that I want to, I guess, get my kids involved as well, to from an early age to get involved with art and, to be creative from a young age. So thank you for doing what you do.
You're welcome.
So, Abdullah, I want to reiterate again that I'm really thoroughly enjoying this conversation. So, thank you again. And I'm hoping to visit you again in your studio. The last time we were out, we managed to acquire some of your artwork. I'm really glad that we did so. It's sitting proudly in our home. The A to Z is sitting in my wife's clinic, and each time a patient comes in, I think my wife describes it to them, and I guess just introduce you and your artwork to them as well. I'm actually honored to have your artwork in my life, so thank you so much again.
You're welcome.
Okay, we're coming up to the tail end of this episode, and as usual, we will do the quick 5 question round. Abdullah, just checking that you are okay to do this.
Sure.
Okay, great. So, question number 1, what is your favorite word?
My favorite word that I keep saying was Karens, like that, Karens, because I sometimes when the people keep getting my way, and because Karens, it means I hate racism people, because how on YouTube that when people say Karens, and then some women's, they keep harassing men for no reason and then being racist, then start assaulting. So this is what meant for people to be Karens.
So essentially what you're saying is anything that has to do with racism, discrimination, that's something that you're against.
Well, I'm not a Karen, which I don't like those people being racist like that. Also, you should accept and respect everyone instead of like that being bad to other people.
Right, great advice there. So, okay, so question number 2, what are you currently reading or listening to?
Well, I usually just listen to music in the car while I was driving. I don't usually listen to outside and that. I just listen to music in the car while I was driving.
Any particular genre or bands or types of music that you like?
Well, not really. I just listen to anything I prefer. There are no favorites.
I love that. I love that. So essentially you listen and appreciate all types of music.
Yeah.
Okay, question number 3. If you could meet someone either living or past, who would that be?
I wish to meet the Japanese artist who is named Yayoi Kusama, which she's a Japanese artist. She keeps drawing circles on anything like that as art.
Wow, that's awesome. Again, if I'm not mistaken, you're organizing a trip to Japan soon?
Yeah, that's right. But I wish I could go to Japan, but we don't know when the government would the Japanese government allow for tourists of outsiders to visit in.
Yes. I'm really hopeful that this will happen really soon. Things are changing, and hopefully we will see you there.
Yeah.
Okay, so question number 4, what advice would you give the younger Abdullah?
Well, don't be afraid. Life is going to be amazing.
Great advice, great advice. And I think everyone tuning in would be able to take something from that, to not have fear, and that life is going to be amazing in the end. So great advice. Thank you, Abdullah.
Thanks.
Okay, so question number 5, the last question. What can we expect from Abdullah in the next 5 years?
Well, you see, in the next 5 years, the world will know who Abdulla Lutfi is, and that's me, Abdulla Lutfi, the AL black and white artist.
Wow, amazing. And I truly can't wait, Abdullah, because I know the impact that you're already making here in the Middle East, and I can't wait to see your artwork spread not only across the Middle East, but globally towards Japan, Southeast Asia, Europe, the Americas, because it's so powerful. And just to encourage people to pick up art as a means of overcoming any discrimination that they may have as we move towards a much, much more inclusive society. So thank you, Abdullah, for doing what you do.
Yeah, thanks. And also thank you for having me. It's truly an honor.
No, thank you, Abdullah. Thank you. Before we close this episode, any last advice that you want to share with people out there, Abdullah? The floor is yours.
Well, I just want to say to the world is to be yourself and live a better life.
I love that. I love that. So simple yet so profound. Okay, everyone. Thank you again for joining us. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have today. I hope that this episode has helped you, and I'm truly grateful to Abdullah for sharing his story with all of us. So, in the meantime, it's goodbye from me for now and from Abdullah.
Bye. See you later, everyone.
Until the next episode, stay safe, stay healthy, and peace and love from us always. Bye for now. Thank you so much for tuning in from wherever you are. My sincere hope is that this episode has not only resonated with you, but also given you some invaluable tips and strategies to improve your life. Don't forget to share your comments with me. As you know, I love to hear your views. Also, remember to follow the Academy, follow me, my guests, and tag us on our social media handles, which will be provided in the description. Most importantly, please leave a review and let me know that you've heard this podcast and how it has impacted you. Until the next episode, stay safe, stay healthy, and peace and love from me always.